Good morning. Welcome to the Upper Deck by Pinstripe Chronicles. I'm Chris Northrup. I'm here with Lynn Kondracki. Baseball is back. After 99 days after it shut down, the machine grinds back to life.
And today is the first official day. So what a day to be together and talk about it.
Exactly. Except, from what I can see on Twitter and Facebook and from talking to friends in those places, the Yankee fans are pretty pissed off already. Because, the team hasn't made a move.
Well, first of all, we're expected to do that as soon as before the ink was dry.
Right.
We were going to find something to complain about. That's just who we are and how we roll.
Right.
But yeah, and we certainly have a lot to talk about with what our fellow fans are saying.
I mean, even Colorado made a move. I mean, they just got Alex Colomé and Jose Iglesias, who I might add is a shortstop. As of today, none of the big free agents have signed except Kershaw with the Dodgers. Did any other big free agents sign? Not Correa, not Story.
No. Freeman is still hanging in the wind.
Not Freeman. Yep.
Olsen for first base still hanging in the wind.
Yep.
And so no, I think those are the top ones. And when you look at the fact that the Giants made a big move yesterday or the day before, I think it was yesterday, not considered the biggest pocketed of teams,
right?
And they're throwing cash down. And when will Cashman throw cash down? When will he actually be the cash man?
Yeah. Exactly. Well, and as you mentioned, today's the first day of spring training. And as I say, the machine is grinding slowly back to life. But already we've heard from Aaron Boone today in camp. He said, we can win with what we have now.
That's a big rut-row.
Rut-row.
Because we know what that means. So, over the off season, apparently he had his puppet strings re-oiled and ready to go because that should have been the number one thing we expected. And again, we're like Charlie Brown kicking the football, and they're Lucy, and they're pulling it back up in the air because
I know
that is just not a good sign.
No, those are the last words I think Yankee fans wanted to hear coming from, a person in a position to know. It was disheartening, and it feels like making me want to go on a rant, but it's only day one.
Right. And it's way too early. Well, right. Not for you, for me in the day. I have that rant in me. But, and then if I wanted to play Angel's advocate, perhaps he's just showing his confidence in what they have at the moment.
Right.
Do I believe that? No, but will that help me cope? Oh, no, not really either. But it could just be that pithy party line of, right. We're all here, and as we are here, who is here? We got this. But I think we just have enough history to be highly suspect of what that meant.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, Chris, you brought up those shortstops that are already gone, free agency. It's interesting that there's been radio silence on the top trades we've been hoping for.
Right.
There's been, no news on Correa or Story, other than I saw some people posting that there's heavy talks between the Dodgers and the Yankees for Story.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't remember which of our media folks said it.
Yeah.
I know it's John Hyman, not John Hyman.
Oh.
So, but that has me interested. I could see that being, what's going on right now. But Correa and Freeman for first and Olson for first, Correa obviously for short.
Right.
No speculation. No, I have from a good source, blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
what could that mean? It could mean either um, all interested parties have decided to keep their their competition off the books off the radar for now, or it could really mean radio silence and somebody waiting for somebody to take the first jump and
Right.
set the price.
Exactly.
Which it is, but you would think by now, I mean, we're what? It feels like a long time, but we're like, what? The agreement was signed Tuesday?
Something like that, I think. Yeah, Tuesday or
But,
Wednesday.
it was kind of surprising how it took so long for the gets that we just saw coming down Friday and yesterday.
Right.
So, where's the build go? No big moves from Astros. When you think about the top market teams,
Right.
no big move from the Astros. And the Dodgers, I think, got one, but
yeah, I was just thinking to myself, who signed with the Dodgers? It was I don't know why it's slipping my mind at the moment. Kershaw re-signed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Kershaw re-signed. Well, yeah, and we're watching, Correa, Story, Rizzo. We ran a poll, in fact, this week to find out from Yankee fans what positions they feel need to be filled first. What is the most and to the least important. And the result of the poll was not surprising, heavily weighted for the shortstops. 73% of the people who responded thought shortstop was the most needed position. However, I was surprised at this. Only 11.5% thought that first base was a priority.
Wow.
That's interesting to me. Luke Voigt is a fan favorite. I mean, do people really want Luke Voigt to stay? That's just a question that I kind of asked myself when I saw that. And then 7.7% said starting pitching. 7.7% said center field was a position of need. So
Okay.
What are you thinking of that ranking?
So that's all very interesting. Well, first of all, I think we'll go deep into the shortstop results.
Right.
But in terms of the other three, what's interesting about first base is you're right that Voigt is a fan favorite. Voigt is also a Voigt favorite. But whatever. But we have two options for first base still, right?
Yeah.
And again, no word on any appetite from the Yankees to re-sign Rizzo.
Right.
So that's actually still a real possibility. So are the people that voted really saying they'd be good with whichever?
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure how I feel about Voigt versus Rizzo. I think I'm a little bit more pro Rizzo than I am Voigt. I think Voigt would be much better suited for DH.
Right.
Because I think what's most popular about him isn't his defensive prowess.
Right.
You've exactly seen a whole lot of that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, that I can get, but then let's leverage the DH spot for him. And when Rizzo or Olson, not Olson, Freeman.
Right.
Sorry, folks, not caffeinated yet. Then he could be the alternate. Voigt could be the alternate on those off days. But And then as far as the starting pitcher, I just don't. I'm not happy, but I'm a little bit surprised based on what I've been seeing on Twitter the past couple of days that it was that low, because it was a surprise to me that I'm seeing a lot of people still saying we need another starting pitcher, and specifically that we need a number two after Cole. And I just don't get that, Chris, quite honestly. When you look at our rotation as it is, there's more than one option for number two that we could rely upon already. Exactly. So unless people are thinking that we need another, lefty or something like that, I don't understand that. I'd like to, hear more about that from folks.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's such a compelling need.
Because, well, I mean, you can never have too much pitching. That's like a standard saying. I mean, everybody knows that. Of course, if they could acquire Luis Castillo somehow, we'd love it. Is that going to happen? I don't think so. That doesn't appear that they're going to. I mean, Rodon was out there. He ends up with the Giants. He was someone Yankee fans were really hoping would end up in pinstripes. But I mean, we've got Cole, Severino, and this is how I would say the starting rotation: Cole, Severino, Taillon, Monty, Nestor, and Herman. Behind that, we've got Gil, King, and Garcia. And I don't know who else, might be coming up. I mean, Clark Schmidt, right? Isn't he also down in the mix?
Yeah, I don't know how far down in the mix, but yeah.
I don't know either. But I'm not saying, we are, we've got the best pitching rotation on the map. I'm saying that this is a solid rotation.
It is.
And everybody keeps telling me that Severino is a question mark, and I'm not buying it. Maybe he is. That's what's the holdup. I don't think Sevy's a question mark. They think he's a question mark.
I would sense that maybe about last year and how little we had him. I'll put it that way.
I know.
And that maybe they just haven't seen enough to feel strongly about it.
Right.
I'm with you. I'm team Sevy baseball wise. But I also think let's look at the other reliable folks. I know that Nestor's not a number two guy. I would agree with that. But Nestor has not really, he's not injury prone. He's a grinder. And I've seen debate about whether he even belongs in the starting rotation.
Right.
He should just revert back to the bullpen. And personally, not that it's a demotion, but he's been of such value. He last season especially. Yeah. And you're right, Chris. We can never have too many starting pitchers, but at the detriment of the higher needs.
Yes.
I don't understand it. That
I
they're
agree with you.
Ahead of, we have enough. Not to quote Boone, when it comes to pitching, we have enough right now to go all the way.
Okay. Well, yeah, and I mean, we can talk about relief pitching in the mix as well.
Right.
Because obviously there's going to be probably some additions and maybe even some subtractions. We don't know. Because the Yankees have made no moves, have made basically outside of saying back in before the winter started that the shortstop was going to be a priority, which they did say. Cashman, I believe, did say that. Besides that, we've got Chapman, who didn't have the year in 21 that fans hoped for. What do you think about that? What do you think about Chapman?
So Chapman was especially disappointing as the season got older. As we were in the chase, I think it still stings that he was responsible for, more losses than we're used to, seeing from him in critical, high leverage games that really cost us a playoff berth.
Right.
He was not what we want a closer to be.
Yes.
And even during, the regular season, he was spotty. And you can't compare anybody to Mo ever. But, it's of concern the way the season ended with him. And it was very clear because Chapman leaves nothing on the table, very clear how frustrated he was, and we can only hope that if he continues to be our closer, and I certainly don't see anyone else on the horizon for that.
Right.
Certainly not within the pen that we have to cultivate for that. I just hope that he was pissed off enough to double grind in the off season and write whatever had him off kilter.
Yeah.
That could be. I don't see this as a sticky ball, situation. I see this as something attitudinal or in his head or, and he has to, I think there needs to be a little bit of humility, and you can't change people, but if he's really laughing it off when somebody gets him and a 3-run homer goes over his head, at the top or bottom of the ninth, whatever the situation is.
Yeah,
I got a problem. Unless that could also be a nervous tick or bravado or whatever.
Right.
But uncomfortable about Chapman. Now, if we're going to talk about a pitching need, perhaps it's time to start cultivating, someone else other than Chapman.
Right.
Or find somebody, recruit someone other than.
Right. We've got in the bullpen behind him, Britton, Green, Lutke, Abreu, Holmes, Loizaga, and probably people I have forgotten on the four-man roster.
Right.
I don't know who might be capable of taking up that role. Britton, could Britton move into that role at some point? Would that be a stopgap even? What about Loizaga? He's definitely a promising arm.
Yeah, and if we were to entertain the other side of Nestor, Nestor is unflappable,
right?
And he's got he's known for getting the team out of tough situations, so that's another thought, although I'd still prefer him starting.
Yeah.
But so I guess Nestor's kind of a utility guy when it comes to pitching. And maybe they go back and forth with that. Because they can bring him in, put him in the pen, bring him in, put him in the pen, bring him in. But
I want to go back for a minute to our discussion about the Yankees having a need for starting shortstop. Because one of the things that I wanted to say and I forgot was Jack Curry said the Yankees would go with a stopgap because Volpe will be ready in 23. So are we seeing, when we're seeing Urshela being named the starting shortstop today, are we seeing someone who's a stopgap, or do we expect them to go out there and bring us a stopgap from a trade or free agent market?
Well, we kind of need a crystal ball at this point. We do. And it's interesting related to that, Chris. Dana at Get Off My Lawn Season, good friend of ours on Twitter, posted that everyone seems to be flouting Volpe as Derek Jeter 2.0 already, and basically saying how unfounded that is at this point, and at the same time that the Yankees are writing Gleyber Torres off entirely too soon. And that the fact that he's only 25, you know, and so, and why would you even think about that, and instead of giving him another chance? So what do you think about that?
Well, I think Gleyber is, maybe Gleyber hasn't had enough chances at shortstop or second base to improve defensively. But can he do that somewhere else? I'm at the point where we've got two second basemen.
After that,
Yeah, I mean, we've got two second basemen. We've got DJ. We've got Torres. We've got, you know, young players coming up behind Torres. Who's the odd man out? I mean, why is DJ LeMahieu suddenly the odd man out and the guy who's going to be the utility guy swinging around the bases all year?
Right.
That frustrates me because I like to see DJ in at second base. I don't forget that he was the batting champ and what he can contribute, despite what 21 was for him, which was injury prone year.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And, you know, seeing how DJ is, you know, so deep into his commitment to the game and performing his best, I wouldn't be at all surprised to looking back that he wasn't feeling that injury before it was known,
right?
Which much later, you know, towards the end of the season.
Yep.
And so healthy DJ coming back. I've always been team second base with you on that, Chris.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, one of my things has always been, you know, at least to me, and this is completely opinion, I see second best baseman as the captain of the infield. You know, he's really kind of the traffic controller, and he could also, let's just say, let's not wish, but let's just say Gleyber stays at shortstop. DJ would be playing both second base and shortstop.
Yeah.
And he has the athleticism and the game smarts and guts to, you know, inner gut to do that.
Right.
You know, so I don't want to see any hemming and hawing about DJ. They need to lock and load him. It should be at second, regardless of what happens in the other positions.
Right.
That's solid and steady. And, you know, just related, since we're on DJ, what I don't want to see for DJ is remaining leadoff hitter. And I'm hoping that that's like an assumption that that's going to change somehow.
Right.
So, you know, but the thought of fixing some things that aren't entirely broken bothers me. Yeah. I really don't understand the thought of shifting Gio to short. I understand that, again, like, I mean, who on the team didn't have, who on the team had their best year last year, first of all. But, you know, Gio, especially towards the end, was lighting up offensively, and his glove was looking a little bit better. Does he have a ways to go? Yes. He's not a solid, you know, infielder, I don't think, at any position. So why not just leave him there where we're seeing some potential? And, you know, it looks like third is really going to be the one that we're not recruiting anybody for or hoping to get anybody for.
Right.
So it becomes about looking at who you already have.
Right.
Whereas short, it's still up in the air, like we said at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, I think Story is the most likely between he and Carrera. Yeah. I don't believe that what some other fans believe, that they might even just decide to have Volpe skip AAA somehow. I don't even know if that could really happen.
Yeah.
I don't think it can. And
no.
But some of the
it probably can, but you know, geez.
Give him one game in AAA and that's
right.
all.
I mean, he hasn't. I don't think he's played above high A even. I could be wrong about that.
Oh, that low. Okay.
I think I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah.
Well, he's. I mean, if 2023 is the target, I'd say even that is, okay.
Yeah.
That's bringing him along quickly. That's assuming
Right.
he comes along quickly.
Yeah, we really shouldn't even be bringing Volpe into any kind of conversation. So much to.
Oh, no, and especially we ought to be bringing him into any conversation for trade talks, because
that's what I mean.
Yeah. Okay, because apparently that's the ask for Olsen from the Athletics. They want Volpe, which is obviously not happening. Right.
And then you have to wonder about that too, because how much data do we really have on Volpe? And what is performance in, beneath AA even, if they're stellar there, it doesn't really translate to stellar AAA and then, AAA and then on up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a bit above all-star in college at this point, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't, and Peraza even more so, like,
okay, yeah,
their names in the buzz, like, why are you, hanging your hopes 3 years from now?
Right.
And I mean, to me, they're an easy trade because there is so much buzz around them, self-generated or not, and well marketed and promoted or not.
Yep.
They'd be a great part of the package. So I think they're quite expendable. So they should not be in any equation for anything.
Yeah.
And yet at the same time, we're all nervous.
Right.
Any second now, by the time we're done recording, Corey could be gone. Correa could be gone.
Yeah, exactly.
And what Boone said less than a half hour ago could have been the teaser, and it's going to come right after that. So I don't know. Right now, it seems unsolvable. And this is going to be very controversial, maybe even for you, Chris, for me to say, but I'd rather, it even hurts me to say, maybe I won't say it. I'd rather keep third, short, and second the way they are, knowing R meaning DJ at second, knowing that DJ would have the ability to also monitor or support shortstop, than to switch Gio out, for example. Because who else do we really have for third?
Well, don't forget, Miguel Andujar is back in camp.
Oh my gosh!
We don't want to forget about Andujar.
I got to get into the practice of some Duncan before we record. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, don't forget about him. And as I think I was telling you before we started, there's an unfortunate story about Andujar going around, that he was robbed at gunpoint on a farm that he owns in the Dominican Republic. This was just days before he was to report to spring training. He's okay. My understanding is he's reporting today, but I have to hope that he's a trade part, can be a trade as a DH somewhere, because there certainly is no room for him in an already dysfunctional offensive, infield.
Right. Yeah. But huge respect for him, because that incident was on Thursday. Yeah. And he was on the plane on Friday.
Okay.
So he actually arrived yesterday and reporting today.
Yeah.
And, so that's the Yankee commitment you want to see, because he could have easily, gotten an extension on reporting back.
Right.
He had, every grounds for that. But, just did what he did, and that's a lot to say about him. But
Yeah.
but you're right. So it's very uncomfortable to have the infield, our highest need and concern, you know, on the table, for like having to solve within. You know, and then there's the question of first base, right? Because you know, we have Voight, and you know, like you've said, Chris, he's a fan favorite. There's no question about that. But is he the best defensively?
Right.
Or if we're down to literally where we were last year, and it's Rizzo and Voight, why hasn't there been word, by the way, of any intention to re-sign Rizzo? Rizzo's another one essentially hanging in the wind.
Right.
And does that indicate that they're going to just stick with Voight? And, you know, what I think about that is, you know, Voight is, you know, a power hitter when he's in his groove. So why wouldn't we think about leveraging him for DH?
Right.
And re-signing Rizzo in the absence of anything else? You know,
because we got that big contract at DH and Giancarlo Stanton. What do you do with Stanton?
Right.
Yeah. So it's a pickle. I mean,
it really is.
With Voight, it seems to me Voight lost a job last year. I mean, the fact that he's still hanging around is just a matter of probably bookkeeping on the Yankees' part and trying to find the right way to utilize him as a piece, you know, a trade piece. Because I can't see that there's any competition even when it comes to Voight versus Rizzo at first base.
100%.
Yeah.
Except marginally
offensively, yeah. And Rizzo had an off year. He's a World Series champ. You know, there's something to be said for that. He's not chump change. So
no.
It's not Chris Carter at first base. So
right.
maybe the problem is that there's just there's going to have to be a domino effect in the Yankee infield. Whatever it is that's holding them up, that corner, that piece, whether it's the shortstop or the first base, once that happens, it's going to happen. I think then the pieces will fall into place.
Right. Right. And what's uncomfortable about that is that opening day isn't going to be a solid roster yet.
Right.
You know, and so there's going to still be some retooling, you know, and maybe even some trade going on that's going to impact how the field, you know, plays out to be. So I don't like that either, but here we are.
Right.
You know, and that's about the inaction from, you know, Cashman and and how up to the lockout.
Absolutely.
And so it's a double indemnity for us. And I would think with you know, this going right into spring training games on, I think it's St. Patrick's Day, right? Those start the spring games.
I think the Yankees start the 18th. I don't know when other teams start.
Right. Yeah, I think league-wide it's the 17th. But okay, so that the Yankees are on the 18th.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're waiting for that to see how what they got does, but you know, they can't wait. There's dice that have to be rolled. And as far as what they've got, they know what they've got, I hope. I mean, yeah, and according to Boone, we have what we need.
And according to Boone, we have what we need. All right, so number 28, right?
Yes. You know, the only thing changing on my handle is the 21 to 22. It's been like that since 2017. I really like to have 29 in 23 as my next handle.
Oh my God, I know.
I meant to check on this, and maybe, someone listening could do me a favor and drop it in a comment. Um, I don't remember the length of the Yankees' driest spell for getting the ring. And I know, 2017 to now is chump change. But it doesn't feel like it, does it?
No.
No. And it's hard to even remember when we were in divisional. It's been much more recent than that, but
yeah.
So
and the words of Brian Cashman that this is a Death Star keep ringing in my ears. And this is not a fully operational Death Star. I don't know what this is, but it's
what's
not
the meaning
that.
behind that, Chris?
Well, it's a reference to, a Star Wars, the most powerful and,
Okay.
in the universe. That would be what the Yankee, machine would be if it was fully functional. But I don't believe that it is. And it's been a long time since anyone would call it that.
Yeah, I can't even bring myself to call us the dynasty anymore.
Right.
So, it's just, we're not, I don't know. I mean, I'd have to take a pulse on the world, but, are we the world-class symbol of professional baseball?
Right.
I don't feel we are. I feel guilty saying that. I feel like Mother Superior needs to go to confession for that. but am I alone with that?
No, I mean, I think that Hal is letting us down in that the philosophy of this team was winning is the most important thing. It's the only thing. That's what the Yankee philosophy has been since, there has been a Yankee philosophy.
Right. And a losing season is a failure.
Right.
It doesn't matter how many, Golden Gloves, how many, players made it to the All-Stars. There's no other ribbon to hang.
No, and it's not just us saying that. I mean, I've heard Derek Jeter say that.
Right.
We haven't done anything, right.
It's why he left the
Marlins. Exactly. So I know, I feel like we had sort of a show where we were ranting and feeling very frustrated with the Yankee front office. But that's the way I feel this Sunday, March 13th.
Yeah, and so kind of summing it up, it's like frustration about the infield. The most frustration lays there.
Yeah.
Doubled with fear and expectation that it's not going to go the way the fans want. And you had a very compelling take on both the starting rotation and the bullpen and what we have for this year. And do we have enough? Do we have a solid number 2 and following?
Right.
And then for the bullpen, there's questions, right, Chris?
There's questions, but I still think it's a solid bullpen. Sure,
right.
You can build up the bullpen, but it's a solid bullpen.
And what's the hanging question to you about Chapman?
All right, we want to throw out a question of the week. This is a new segment of the show. And this week, our question is, how much confidence do you have in Chapman going into 22? So let us know, and we'll talk about this next time in more detail. But that's all I've got. Lynn?
Yep, I think that's a great way to end it. We really want your input on the question of the week. Help us out with this new segment because, face it, there's always going to be a compelling question of the week. That's something we could hang our hat on. And so that's really it for me as well. It's the state of affairs as of this morning.
Yep. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, and as always, remember, you always have a reserved seat right here on the upper deck. So
That's
see you
right.
next week.
Yep.
Let's go.